The white matter of the cerebrum comprises three types of fiber: association fibers, which connect cortical regions in the same hemisphere; commissural fibers, which cross the midline to link corresponding regions of the two hemispheres; and projection fibers, which connect the cortex with the basal ganglia, the diencephalon, the brainstem, and the spinal cord. Fiber tracts are named according to their origin and termination. Fibers from the cortex to the pons are called corticopontine, for example. Each hemisphere can, when surgically separated from the other, act to a large extent independently, with its own ability for perception, learning, memory, sensation, and motor control. Hence the expression, the split brain. Normally, however, corresponding areas of the two sides are complementary, and through the commissures, essentially one unit. In the floor of the longitudinal fissure is the corpus callosum, the largest commissure. It forms the roof of the lateral ventricles. There are four parts: the rostrum, the genu, the body, and a thick, rounded end, the splenium. Fibers of the splenium arch into each occipital lobe as the forceps major. Fibers of the body extend laterally, intersecting with projection fibers of the corona radiata. Fibers of the genu connect the frontal lobes, curving forwards as the forceps minor. The rostrum narrows below to become continuous with the lamina terminalis, a thin sheet of grey matter at the anterior end of the third ventricle. Through the lamina, fibers of the anterior commissure cross the midline. In the stalk of the pineal are the posterior and habenular commissures. Short association fibers lie within or just beneath the cortex, connecting adjacent gyri. Long association fibers are grouped into fasciculi. The cingulum lies in the cingulate gyrus. It connects the frontal and parietal lobes with parahippocampal and temporal cortex. The uncinate fasciculus connects the cortex of the temporal pole to the first motor speech area and the orbital part of the frontal lobe. The inferior longitudinal fasciculus connects the occipital and temporal lobes. The superior longitudinal fasciculus, the largest fasciculus, and the fronto-occipital fasciculus, which lies deeper, connect the anterior part of the frontal lobe with the temporal and occipital lobes. Medial to the long association fibers, the projection fibers form the corona radiata. Its fibers converge to form a curved band of white matter called the internal capsule. Its anterior limb contains frontopontine fibers which pass into the cerebellar hemisphere of the opposite side, and thalamocortical fibers which pass to the frontal lobe. In the posterior limb are thalamocortical fibers which carry general sensory information to the parietal lobe, and corticospinal fibers. Anterior tracts pass to the upper limb and posterior tracts to the trunk and lower limb. The genu contains corticonuclear fibers.